Okay, guys, today we are going to look at our Scottsburg City and Scott County local government. I myself, being new to the Scottsburg and Scott County area and living here, uh, was diving into this and where you need to go and what to do. Most city and county governments are laid out the same, but each can be unique in certain areas. So today we're going to look at, as I said, Scottsburg City and Scott County government and see how it affects us. It's possible in reality that as we've studied federal government and state government, local city and county government could possibly affect your life more than any other place in government possibly could. And so looking at that, we, of course, in Scottsburg have a mayor. I'm not going to be able to give you all of the current people that are serving in the offices as we look at this. So we're going to save that for the who's who in Scott County government. But Scottsburg does have an office of mayor and a city council, and they work closely together, looking at things like laws, city ordinances, um, city policies, problems that arise, things that need to be dealt with in the city of Scottsburg are often handled by our mayor and our city council. Of course, we have a chief of police. The local Scottsburg chief of police is appointed by the mayor. That is different from the county sheriff that we're going to look at here in just a few moments. But of course, we have a local police department as well as a fire department. We recently had the fire over at the plastics factory, and our local fire department was able to go in and handle that situation and put the fire out. And in our situation, as in many communities across the country, we also have part of our fire department. It's a volunteer fire department. We have those that aren't necessarily paid to be part of the fire department, but they are trained and are available to be part of the fire department. And so those are some of the city services that we have. And then, of course, we have planning and zoning. We want the city to be laid out right. It's determining where we put different types of buildings, different types of property. If something is zoned for commercial, meaning like for a business, you can't put a house there. We want to keep the businesses and those types of areas of the city together. Then, of course, the residential neighborhoods and homes and houses. We want those to be nice areas where people can live. And so just because you own a piece of property doesn't mean you can put whatever you want on that piece of property. If it is zoned commercial, you can't put a house there. If it's zoned residential, you can't just put a business there. It depends on what the Planning and Zoning Committee lays out as part of the city. That's the type of property that it is and the type of building that you have to put on there. Then, of course, we have Parks and Rec. And in case you haven't checked it out, Parks and Rec, great show from a few years back about the fictional city of Pawnee, Indiana. Highly recommend it, and great show, hilarious. But we as well have a Parks and Rec department. Don't know if it's as funny as the one in Pawnee, Indiana, but that keeps the parks clean, keep things running, keep things going, make sure the parks look nice. Recently had a assistant from them ran a local virtual marathon that we did here in Scottsburg because we weren't able to go up to Indianapolis, and part of the course was over by Lake Iola, and the long path that's through the woods over there. The Parks and Rec department made sure that was clear of leaves so that if it was wet in the morning, no one would slip and fall on leaves. And so we have a Parks and Rec department. And then, of course, garbage and recycling. We want to make sure the city's clean. We want to make sure when we put that garbage out on the curb or we put it out on whatever the designated garbage day is, that it gets taken to the dump, obviously. And so we have a great garbage and recycling service that serves our city. Then we look at Scott County government. And I would encourage you to check out our city and county websites. The city website is cityofscottsburg.com. And then our Scott County website is scottcounty.in.gov. And it's important to remember when looking at the county governments, the local county governments are elected by the local people, but they get their authority from the state government. So the state government gives each county the authority to run their county as they see fit, as long as it falls into all of the rules and laws and constitution of the state of Indiana. But part of our county government, we have a county assessor. The county assessor comes in and is the one that assesses property taxes, assesses the value of things. Says this is how much something is worth, or this many acres are worth. Lets you know how much you owe in taxes, what needs to be collected, and just as the name says, they assess the value of things. And then that goes on to the treasurer. The treasurer collects the taxes, makes sure the funds are there, and the treasurer supplies the funds to the auditor. The auditor really wears a lot of hats in each county, keeps the accounts current. They are the principal financial officer of the county. The auditor is the principal financial officer of the county. Make sure that funds are distributed correctly. If something is designated specifically for a project, or money is earmarked, as we've talked about, and it has to be spent, then the auditor is the one that makes sure that that's done properly. And so when you think about the finances of the county, you can think about the assessor, the auditor, and the treasurer. And then, of course, we have the county recorder. The county recorder is the one that keeps the documents, keeps the records, our county history. If you wanted to look up something about Scott County history, you would go to the county recorder. They're the ones that keep the titles and the deeds. And if you want to know who owned a certain piece of property at a certain period of time, you'd go to the county recorder. They keep the records of everything that has happened that is public record in the county of Scottsburg. And so they're the ones that you're going to go to if you need to do some research, dig up some information, and find out something that would be public record. You would go to the county recorder. Then, of course, we have the Scott County clerk. The Scott County clerk is the one that you're going to face or go and see face to face probably more than any other. It's where you can go to get your marriage license. It's also where you can go to get a license to divorce. So things begin and end there, I guess. You can do voter registration there. You can pay traffic tickets there. Don't speed through Scott County. But if you do and get a ticket, you got to go to the county clerk and pay that, or work that off some other kind of way. Or even if you just send in a check, it goes to the county clerk. The county clerk is really where you go to pay for things. And do that. And sometimes county clerks work a little bit differently across the country. I know where I came from, Louisville, you would go to the county clerk to pay the registration fees on your vehicle. And that's how it worked in Kentucky. And with Kentucky being a commonwealth, it's a little bit different than a state. And see, here in the state of Indiana, in Scott County, you go to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles to do anything with your vehicle. And so sometimes that can vary from county to county, state to state. But nonetheless, the county clerk is where you're going to go, and you're going to be in contact with somebody with the government, and it's where you have to pay for things, and to do that, to be part of a county. Then we look at the county surveyor, and the county surveyor uses their instruments. You've probably seen these guys out when you look at them in their orange vest and their tripods. And all the instruments that they have. Interesting fact, our first president was a surveyor, was able to find this great painting of a young George Washington, who at the age of 17 was a surveyor for Culpeper County, Virginia. I love this painting because whoever painted it, and I wasn't able to find an artist specifically. I probably could find that, but I love the Native American in the background with his arms folded, staring at a young George Washington who is very much in control of the situation. And he is just looking at him like, yeah, we already know the lay of the land, buddy. We've lived here for a lot longer than you have. But a surveyor comes out and they determine if it's a good place to build something, a good place to build a road. They can look at it and see if there's a floodplain there. They can determine what needs to be built there, what would be a good building, and they're able to determine the altitude of a place, all sorts of different things. A lot of times today they use GPS, they use measurements by laser, they do all kinds of things, but the county surveyors are the ones who get out and kind of get the lay of the land, if you will, for that. And then we have our areas of public safety. We have the Scott County Sheriff. The Scott County Sheriff is elected, which is different from the Scottsburg City Police Department, the chief of police. The sheriff is elected, and so it is an elected position. But of course, the sheriff, the chief of police, state police, federal law enforcement agencies usually do a pretty good job of trying to work together for the public safety. Of course, we have the Scott County prosecutor and the Scott County public defender. If you are arrested or have accused of a crime, the lawyer can be provided to you. That is the public defender. And the one, if you did commit the crime and the prosecutor thinks there's enough evidence to bring against you, the one that will bring the charges and try you in court will be the prosecutor. And then, of course, we have the Scottsburg Emergency Department, our 911 service. That is a local service. When you call 911, if you have an emergency, if you're needing an ambulance or some other type of emergency with law enforcement, that is a local call. You're not calling up to Indianapolis or somewhere else far off. That is a local call to be able to get you help immediately and as quickly as possible. And of course, you see the website there, scottcountysheriff.org. I encourage you to look at that and check that out. And just be aware that these are the people that just keep the public safe so that we can live in a great community. And then finally, one we hear about a lot these days, the Scott County Health Department. These are the ones that are monitoring all the situations with COVID-19. They are determining the public well-being. That's what the health department really does, is involved with the well-being and the health of the public. Even before COVID-19, they're the ones that kind of monitored. They monitor like flu season and how that's going, if there seems to be a lot of people getting sick with that. A few years ago, many of y'all may recall that there was a outbreak of the AIDS virus over in Austin especially. They were involved in monitoring that, and then of course they worked with federal agencies and the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, which is located in Atlanta, trying to get that under control so that there wasn't the spread of that virus. And so the health department just tries to keep people healthy. You can also go there to get immunizations for children. They are able to provide shots, and because again, that keeps the people healthy. And one of the things that you'll find interesting is the health department is where you go for birth certificates and death certificates. So if you don't think government is important, just remember that you need a government certificate to be officially born and to die. So from the time you're born to the time you die, government is going to be involved in your life. Just remember that. But these are just a few of the areas in the Scottsburg City, Scottsburg County government that we're going to look at. Again, you're going to have your Who's Who assignment to be able to fill that out. And again, go to cityofscottsburg.com and scottcounty.in.gov. And these websites are helpful just because one day you're going to need some local county and city government help and assistance in something as a resident of wherever the future takes you and you decide to live. So you're going to want to know how to be part of the local government in your community.